What's huh?
Yeah, it's countdown. And we
It's
are
the
live.
final
It's
countdown. I I mean I know you're a singer, Chloe, but I'm definitely not.
it's still
Welcome.
early. It's still early for me. Like I like to start warming up my voice and doing any vocal stuff like a little bit later in the day, later in the morning. It's too early.
That's actually interesting too. Let's start from there. Do you have any special awkward voice warming exercises?
I feel that the warm up for the voice are all awkward because you do like nga, 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 like to warm up the mask or the twang and then there's like I mean it's all awkward. I feel like it just I don't know.
I used to do drama classes, acting classes, and I remember our teacher, who was a famous actor, he was sharing how every morning before acting classes, before going to the theater, he had to warm up his voice. But
Uh-huh.
sometimes he'll be late. So he goes to the bus and then he goes and he's like,
Yeah.
like
Well, you do
sometimes
also you have to warm up like this and then you do tongue exercises like weird stuff like this. I always stretch my body because the voice is part of it's your body too. So like I do a lot of but I try to do it at home, not on the bus. Well, I don't take the bus here in LA, but yeah,
I
when
love
I
it.
live.
I love it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Productivity Mastery. We're comfortably sitting at home. Hopefully, you do too. And I can't wait to have conversation and learn from this incredible lady, Chloe Trujillo. Huh?
Hello.
There you
Yes.
go.
You
Nailed
did
it.
it correctly.
First time ever.
So,
So if you're watching us live, make sure to post your question in the comments. Post your comment. We'd love to hear from you guys. And for the rest of you, sit comfortably and enjoy this podcast. Chloe, how are you this morning?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Well, it's evening here, but
Yeah, I
but I'm
know.
also
That's
really
right.
good.
How was your day? My day's
It was
just
really
started.
good. It was really good. I had quite a productive week. Flew to Estonia to do a training in Estonia. Had to land in Munich accidentally.
Ah,
We flew out, took off from Munich with a plane, and
and you
then
did like this,
mm,
this.
yeah, and then we had to come back to Munich because there was a technical issue with the plane.
Ugh.
But anyway, it's not about me. This podcast is not about me. It's about you. And you know what? I'm curious to hear. I think if people open your Instagram, by the way, everybody needs to follow Chloe on Instagram. Check out her name. Follow the lady on Instagram. I'm getting this is my daily dose of inspiration. Opening her Instagram and just seeing
Thank you.
how creative and productive this lady is. The incredible work she does. So please follow her on Instagram. But um, you open her Instagram. Where was going with that? Uh, yes, exactly. Tell me about your week. I'm just curious. Now it's Friday, right?
Yes.
And I think if you can give us a bit of a picture,
Of
what
this,
kind of
this.
projects? Yeah,
Oh,
this
yeah.
week from Monday up until now, what have you been
Oh
up
my
to? What did
God.
you do?
It's this week was really, really busy. Well, first of all, I just finished recording four new songs for my solo project on EP, and that was so this week was all about listening to the mixes, make sure everything sounds correctly and all this. That's on the music side. Then with my band, we also recorded one new song, and it's the same thing. I had to listen to mixes and when you listen to mixes, you listen on the headphones. I go in my car and I listen on the speaker in the car. Like you want to listen in different kind of environments. So, and then I am currently painting two guitars for charity. One is linked with the band 311 and one is linked with the band Sublime. So I started working on those guitars and painting on them. I'm also preparing a solo art show that's opening June 14th, so very soon in Malibu. So I had to frame some paintings, figure out, like I finished painting two new projects too for this art show. What else did I do? I did a lot of the business side of registering songs and doing all this, and lots of paperwork. What else did I do? I know I did a lot of things. Oh yeah, I set up, because we're playing a show with my band in Florida, June 5th in Tampa. And so we had to set up a new system with in-ears. So that took a while too. What else did I do? I know I did a lot of other things. But you know, it's like I said, it's 9 in the morning for me, and I know what I have going on today. And so it's like that's I try to focus, you know, I'm very old school. I write down everything I want to accomplish. First of all, I do it weekly, but then during the week I do it daily. So like in the evening I will review my day and what I was able to do, I didn't have time to do, and then put it to the next day, and in the morning I review my list and go like that. So I make sure I'm on time and on point with everything. But it's been a busy week. Oh yeah, and
Where
I
did you?
finished cards. I should mention that too.
Mhm.
I'm about to release my third deck of cards. And so my daughter, who does Photoshop, was helping me putting all those in the templates for the printer. And we just finished last night late. So, yeah.
Oh, congrats. Where can we find out? Can we find out on the webpage or on the Instagram?
Yes, I will. Yeah, on Instagram, I'll probably announce when it releases. I want to do a launch for the cards in different areas, like one of them being in Chicago. I did a show last year at a gallery there, and they have a tarot reading room next to it. So I'm probably going to launch there, but then expand to different places. So yeah, but we just finished that. So yeah, I like it. There's more stuff that's going to come to my mind, but
No, for
yeah,
sure. Sounds like a productive week. I'm actually
yeah.
curious, where did you learn to do this type of time management kind of with the list uh, when did you learn to do that?
You know, I think, well, first of all, I think I learned a lot from my dad, from watching my dad, because he's a little bit of a workaholic, and uh he taught me discipline very early on, and to be on time, to do, you know, work well, work hard. But I also think it's the French educational system. I don't know. Uh, you know, growing up in Paris, I went to a high school. It's public, but it's very prestigious. And so you see your other classmates, and to make it, to survive, you really learn early on that you have to have a certain discipline. Otherwise, you can't make it. Um, you know, and nobody's holding your hand telling you what to do. You have to kind of have the maturity to do it on your own. And so I think all these combined just, and maybe it's my personality too. I like to be super productive. Um, and sometimes it might be a little too much. I'm just realizing that it's not always great to feel guilty when you're not productive, because there's a lot of this other aspect. But at the same time, I love accomplishing things. I love moving forward. I love creating. I'm passionate about my work, and I think that helps. You know, I feel grateful every day that I'm able to do things that I love to do. And yes, there's parts, you know, you love your job, but there's always parts that you don't love as much, like the business part of it. I'm more of a creative. Sometimes it's hard, but you have to do it, you know, and to keep going. But really, I just, it was so hard. It's such a long journey to come to this place that I can't complain. I'm just grateful to do this, and that feeds me, you know.
It's super interesting. I shared with you before we started recording the podcast that my background is movie production.
Yeah.
But before becoming a movie producer, I studied in the business school. So I studied finance with all these finance guys, business-minded people. And then I joined the movie production industry, and everybody was artistic and I'm creative, and I felt my initial entrance in this industry was, wow, everybody's so messy. like when you say I want to be productive, I want to be structured, that's not what the usual artist is.
Yeah.
Usually artists are a lot more intuitive. Let's go
Flow
with the
and
flow.
yeah.
Let's wait for inspiration. So I'm curious, how do you manage to combine both worlds?
I think my brain has both sides very active. They say left brain, right brain. I think I also I'm really great at math and the logic side. When math became abstract, I was passionate about this. And actually, my dad was almost, he was forcing me to pursue a career in science because he thought like in the arts is struggles. But I won. I pursued the arts, but I did study. I went to university to study science after graduating high school. And I think that helped, that is my side of the brain that's like very organized and disciplined. Um, and also, if you wait for the flow, you gotta induce the flow. I don't know if I never experience a creative block because I do it every day. I think I'm just being creative every day. So it's just the flow. If I feed the flow keeps feeding me. Like it's just like this movement. Um, and it's just by starting doing it, it just creates. They say also writers, they have to write every day, even if you write shit one day, at least you've written. And not everything I'm gonna create I'm gonna love, but at least I'm creating. And to me too is, if I'm not creating, I don't feel good. I feel like I have a knot in my stomach. I have like anxiety. I'm like, it's that's why when I travel, I always have a notebook, a sketchbook. I'm always writing or drawing or creating something. And I think that's the discipline. Like, um, and my discipline has other aspect too, is has like the physical aspect where I gotta do some type of workout every day. Um, I gotta feed my brain too and learn something new every day. And sometimes it's a little thing, it doesn't have to be a big thing, but sometimes I'll be reading a book and learning something new about something that I never known before, or it's just, or listening to podcasts even. I love doing that, especially in the LA traffic. It's crazy. And in my car, I do my vocal exercises, I sing, and then I listen to podcasts. These are my activities. So, sometimes you're stuck 2 hours in traffic, and then, I don't feel like I wasted 2 hours. I either learned something from listening to podcasts. I got inspired. I get a lot inspired by listening to others and how they work, and from different fields, not just artistic fields. And or I do my vocal exercise and I feel good, and I'm releasing all the tension of being like stuck in traffic, not moving. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I think it's very inspiring, and we've already established you do many different types of artistic work. You're singing, you are designing fashion, you're writing, I mean, we can go on and on and on, right? I wonder, because you mentioned I probably have a list of things on a daily basis. Do you have a strict list when it comes to, from 8 to 10 I need to finish this song, and then from 10 to 11:30 I need to do that? Or it's more like you have a list and then you wake up, you get your cup of tea, and it's like, you know what, I'm gonna go for the design right now. Like,
Yeah.
what's your?
Yeah, it's more like that. It's more like I wake up, I usually take a moment, I have tea, I do stretching, like either yoga, like at home, or some type of workout, and that way, like, my brain's being oxygenated, with the movement, and then I go and decide uh it's like I know my list, like you said, like I know, okay, I'm trying to accomplish this, but I don't structure it unless I have meetings and things, like, okay, I know I have this phone call or this Zoom meeting, or I have to be at this place for another meeting or something at certain times. But that I will know, in advance, and then I'll be like, okay, now I'm home. I can be in my studio from this time to this time, so I'll work on this. But I decide it like on the day and see what it feels like. There's days where I'm really inspired to write music, for example, and I'll just go on the piano or just record my voice melodies or just write lyrics and come up with things. And then there's days where I'm like, oh, I got to finish this thing. Oh, I have a vision for this art project, and I go right there. But I do everything that's on my list, but I let it flow to when. And sometimes, like, I'll start working on art, and then all of a sudden there's a musical idea, and I'm like, okay, let me just jump. I do this because my artwork is over there, and this is more like, that's why my mic is here. This is more my music. So it's and then I'll start just laying down an idea for a melody or song, and then I'll go back to art. So I let it flow, but knowing that by the end of the day, I will have most likely accomplished everything that was on my list. But I don't structure it with this time to this time, um, because I feel it's too, because I don't want to like, I don't want to block the inspiration. Like, if I say, okay, I'm doing art from this time to this time, and then there's musical idea, I'm like, I can't do it. Like, I said I would do art, I just let it be.
I think it's a great way to do it, especially when you have a little bit more structured, longer term goals. Let's say I want to finish this artwork by the end of the month, right? And
Yeah.
then it's like tomorrow morning I want to work on this artwork. Then you wake up, but it's like this idea for the song comes up. Then you can move things around
Yeah.
because your deadline is not pressing you to beat the day. Um, one thing that you mentioned was a big game changer for me when I was in college, and sometimes I'll struggle with the creative project. And the reason was exactly what you mentioned, because I would set a block of 4 hours. I need to write a screenplay for my short film. And then I get in, but I'm not always inspired. I'll start doing it, but maybe I won't finish. And then I had a classmate, and I don't know, we had a cup of coffee, and he was like, hey man, one thing that helps me a lot to be creative, I never do it all at once. So he told me he'll start writing, then he'll leave it for a day or two, then you'll see it again. Maybe you walk in the forest, you come up with more
That's it.
ideas, you listen to a
That's it.
podcast, come back again, and then maybe after 4 or 5 times you come back to it, you finish it.
That's it. That's and they say too, like, for another example, not to do with creativity, but like, for example, you're talking about something to somebody, and then you forget the name of a person, or you forget something, and then you might later in that day you do something totally different, and then the name pops up in your mind because you're not struggling like to try to think about it. See, and it's the same idea where it's like, if you um like struggle to finish this creative work, go outside, go on a walk, go, and then it'll and come back refreshed. It's the same thing. Sometimes it's like, it's if your mind is too focused on something, then you might not see what's around, and there's information here and there to grasp from. Um yeah.
We had a couple of great guys joining the podcast, not a great guys. talking about creativity. One of them, Andrew Cross, advertising professional. Um, One thing that stuck with me was something similar he mentioned. He said, sometimes I'm working on a advertising brief, but I'm not feeling it. So he would say, he would go on the walk, he would listen to a podcast, he would listen to hip hop music. He's like, do something different that's not connected to what you're supposed to do. Because usually, right, you get into the shower and you're like, oh, I have ideas. Probably it's not the shower. You just change the environment. You change your biochemistry. And then idea, right?
Totally. Exactly.
I wonder how much of your inspiration do you connect to your upbringing, and maybe if you can give us a bit of an overview of your house, your parents, what was the environment you grew up in?
Yeah, I grew up in a very artistic environment too. My parents were fashion designers. And so there was always at the house, there was always a lot of characters, like from different artistic backgrounds, and also a lot of musicians, because they dressed a lot of like the musical artist, French artist, back in the day. And I also grew up with my grandparents because my parents worked long hours. So my mom had her parents move across the street from us. And my grandfather was a professional opera singer. So there was also this side of music. And then my parents, both of them were very passionate about music too. And my dad would always play song and find song for their runway shows. So I grew up in a multicultural environment as well. People from all kinds of backgrounds and countries and cultures were always at our house. So it was very interesting. It was like a melting pot of creativity, culture, um, so I think I have two sisters. We got exposed to a lot. And when my parents had some time off, which was not that much during the year, we would travel to a lot of different countries. They would have like a week here and there, like, during the year. And, we would go to we went to Cyprus, Egypt, Ireland, like all kinds of different, we went to Iran, we went to like all kinds of different, countries and learning about cultures. Um, and I think we were so young that just opens up your mind so much. Like it's just, and the inspiration, my sisters are not, creative in the same sense. Like, one of my sisters is real estate and the other
Wow.
one is more of a counselor. Um, but I think it's just, I don't know, I was really always inspired, seeing monuments, sites, learning about other people's way of being and seeing, uh, ruins of ancient civilization and so many things that just, yeah, the mix of having all these people at the house, the mix of the travels, everything, I think just like I accumulated in me, like I just absorbed everything. And yeah, and now it's just, so I think whatever you experience is always used in a way, like you always, it's you always express it in a way. Maybe it's not super obvious, but I think I got inspired from years and years of being exposed to all sorts of, yeah, just things and cultures and yeah.
So your dad was pushing you a little bit more on the science side. When was the time that was it like a moment that you said, you know what, I'm going to be an artist and I'm going to be a multidisciplinary artist?
So yes, and then now my dad is totally um like very supportive of all my work. But I think my dad, he came from a very, very poor family, and he made it, and he left home very early and started working. And then at a young age, he started his own business in the fashion, and he made it quite big, but it was a lot of struggles. And I think, I'm the oldest daughter, I'm the oldest child, so I'm the first one. And because he saw my abilities in science, that I think deep inside he didn't want me to struggle. Now I see this side. He didn't want me to struggle as an artist, maybe, as he was struggling. And so he was kind of forcing me this, but into the science. And so I graduated high school with a diploma that's like mathematics, physics, and chemistry. And and then I went to university, Pierre et Marie Curie, which is all science. And I told him, I said, I'm gonna have this diploma from that university, but after I'm gonna do art, okay? And somehow I was already like 20 or something, but I still wanted his blessings in a way, because he's my dad, and he's like, okay, fine. Uh um but at least I had that diploma to fall back onto if the art didn't work. But deep inside I knew, I'm like, I can't do anything else. This is my mission. This is like my purpose. This is what I'm supposed to do. But early on, it created a lot of inner conflict, because I was like, should I follow the reason, like the reasonable thing to do, or should I follow my heart? And it was like, it's an early struggle that I had, but deep inside, I always wanted to follow my heart. But then I had all the exterior, people are like, well, but you should do this because, da, da, da. It's all kinds of reasons, but mostly financial reasons. Like, it's easier to make a living from, and I'm like, I'd rather be happy, even if I'm not as rich as I could be with a more secure work. And I'm saying this today, but it's not being an easy road, There's day there's days where I'm like, fuck this. Sorry for my language, but yeah, and just like, I'm just gonna get a regular job because I know then I'll have a pay, like, but I'm not that type of person. So so it's not an easy road, but it's definitely a road that makes me more happy and more satisfied overall. I'd rather live my life like fully expressing who I am than try to be, following the rules and also feel secure. But it's nice to get out of your comfort zone and see what you can accomplish beyond that.
When I graduated the business school with a master degree in finance, I would imagine my parents were probably thinking I'll get a job as a banker, like a steady paycheck, and I didn't. I actually decided to write a master thesis on the topic of movie finance. So how, estimating motion picture finance, those kind of things. And it was not an easy journey. I was super passionate about being a movie producer. I'm not doing it any longer, but at the time that was my passion, and I didn't know how to make money. And Chloe, I totally relate. It would have been the easy way to go and find a job as a finance guy, but instead I would go and I would just knock on doors. I would just, hey guys, you need somebody to make a salad and coffee for the movie? I'm in, because I haven't been on the movie set. Only
Yeah.
small productions. I want to learn. I want to meet people. So I'll just make coffee. I'll do free internships. I'll just knock on doors. I'll just try to show my talent. And it's been, 2-3 years before I finally start to get some traction and get recognized. And I wonder if you can maybe tell us a little bit about this part of your journey.
Yeah. Oof. I mean, it's all the struggles and all of that. I know, like when I first began taking my art more seriously, I was still in university for science, and they had like a little in the middle of this whole university, they had like a little room, and this guy was offering drawing classes, but where we could have live models. So I was like, oh, cool. So I would be like in the amphitheater, getting my math class or whatever, and then I would go to this room and draw and sketch and all this, and all of a sudden, this guy decided to put on an art show. And then he chose one of my pieces for the flyer, and then that was my first art show in Paris. And the response was so good. I was like, oh, and I love doing this, and I could do this for hours at a time without, without just, it just without being tired or just and 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 but then came, like you said, like the struggle. It's to get in the art. It's like, okay, I would have, it was before internet, so I had like a big folder of all my artwork, and I would go to gallery showing my work. And they would see like, okay, and then I would go to art openings of different people, and I still have that notebook to this day. It's a notebook, and I would write what kind of type of gallery there were and what style. So I would find the ones that would match my style more, and the one that would accepting submission and all this. There was no online search. You had to go there. So it was like, you know, like a long time before, like, finally he said, okay, we're doing a group show. I think your art will be there. And I'm like, oh, my first group show in a gallery. Invited all my friends and family and everybody that would come, and so on and so forth, before I can actually um start getting more shows and more galleries and all of that. And it took me years too before I allowed myself to call myself an artist. Like I it was such a word that was very weird. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm not an artist yet. And I did also internship with other artists. So I did an internship with this guy that was a see, this is when my French accent comes out. We're talking about that. But aérographe, it's like a air graph, like those, it's almost like graffiti artists, but instead of like he had like a full thing. And I did an internship with him, and he's mécène. I don't know how you call mécène. The guy that was paying him to do art was Pierre Cardin. So he was working for Pierre Cardin, which is a fashion designer, but he would be doing all the art project, even just painting his showroom, the walls and all this. So I did internship with him and learn a little bit more
Wow.
about a different aspect of the work. This guy was doing work for a fashion designer. He was not, and he had also art shows of his own work, but then he was supported by this fashion designer. So I was like, okay. And yeah, it took so many years and struggles, and then I moved to New York, and I did the same thing back there, like my folder. All right, let's go to galleries. And it's really hard. It's frightening because you're like, okay, I'm just coming in cold, like they, just showing my work. And it's very vulnerable too, because then you get a direct response from a professional, because to me, I was not a professional yet. Like, I was still, when you're showing, do you think, we could do a match and all that. So it took years, and it's very humbling. It's just, and meanwhile, you have a master's degree as in physics or mathematics, but then you're like the artist. I'm not like an artist. So yeah, so I did a lot of this type of thing, and it was like, oh my God.
You know what's interesting when you share the story about this period? Even your voice and your body language changed.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
it's like you came back to
Because
this
I
time.
was like, I had to like remind myself, oh yeah, that's right, I did this and that. Yeah, because it's a part of my life I hadn't think of in a long time. But yeah, I just remember. Woo! This was hard.
And it's interesting because you both have to conquer the external world, but also the internal world.
Yeah.
Because externally, you got to prove yourself. Who is Chloe? Oh,
Yeah.
come on. You and your pictures, get out, right? Like nobody
Yeah.
knows you.
Yeah.
That's one. But then the second part is for you to actually start believing in yourself.
Yeah. And that's the hard one. Because nobody will believe in you unless you believe in yourself. It's really hard. And there's all kinds of doubts and all kinds of questions like, oh, maybe my dad was right. I should just go on the science. Or maybe, I'm not good enough. Or, I don't have what it takes. Or, it's just, yeah, and the inner struggle, I think, doesn't really end. It gets better, like, okay, I've gotten to this point, but now to get to the next level, I have to overcome this, and this, like, it's always something.
Even now, like with all the
Yeah,
awards, all the
yeah.
accomplishments.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that comes from my dad too. Never good enough. Like, because he was like forcing me to be the first in my class all the time, and even if I had a grade that was good, but it was not excellent, I was not good enough. Like, so I have this part of me where I'm like never really satisfied with what I accomplish. I got to, which I like too, because it's my drive, it motivates me. It just gives me this energy to do more and more and more. But there's always there's always going to be doubts about things, or always going to be questions. um yeah, I think we always grow, I think once you stop growing, it's like you'll shrink. I don't know. I think it's good to always grow more and more, and who knows what the future holds, and creating in any field that anybody is in. I think it's good to think about what else can you do, and what other limiting beliefs you have about yourself that you can just get rid of, and kind of become purer and purer, or more like, just peeling off the layers of what's holding you back. And I feel like that for me, like I'm trying to peel off the layers of things that hold me back, and try to be more open and more expressive in a way. Like there's still stuff I'm afraid to do, or I'm afraid to talk about, or I'm afraid to express in different ways, whether it's on stage, or in a painting, or in a song, or somewhere. It's just peeling off, and try to grow out of your shell. It's like, I don't know. Good
I,
morning. It's Friday.
let's go deep. Yes. Um,
Woo!
no, I think it's beautiful that you're sharing this. And I was just thinking, I was actually looking for a word. I think I read somewhere on the webpage that you like to explore spirituality, and was it mystical, or I think it was
Yeah.
mystical, the word. I was looking for the word on my phone, but like, and I wonder, was that connection like spirituality in what way, and was that your path to discover self-exploration?
Yeah. I went through a lot of trauma in my life. And one of the major traumas I went through, my way out and my way, like, of healing, the path to healing was really through spirituality. I started reading, being super curious on the reason why. And I was, even before the trauma, I was always curious of, why are we here on this planet? What is our purpose? What is our mission? What's the meaning of life? And all of that. And I started reading more and more books, and I studied a lot of healing modalities. Like I'm, a Reiki practitioner. I studied with a shaman. I studied with a big kahuna. Like I studied so many
Wow.
different modalities just out of curiosity. of how energy works, because even in the scientific world, everything is energy, everything, um so I always yeah, looking for answers for myself first, but then like that's when my spirituality helped me so much uncover aspects of myself that I did not know, but also and I know it sounds maybe like, because everybody talks about manifestation and all this, but there's some kind of energy that you put out there, and that will bring you what um you receive kind of what you vibrate, like you vibrate at a certain frequency. And I started even when I was like with my artwork under this, and I started to imagine and visualize, okay, this is gonna go really well, and I'm just gonna do. And then I start realizing when I'm really myself and not trying to push somebody to like me or like my artwork. I'm sharing this example, but it could be in anything, in any situation. But this was me, for example, like trying to show my artwork and pushing, like, and I'm not a pusher because it's my work, so it's so hard to root for yourself and be like, look at this work, it's beautiful. No, it was just like, I'm just going to be myself and let them look at it and not say anything and see what their response is. And just, and with that feeling of either way, everything is fine. And I started learning how to kind of play with this a little more, so it would be easier on myself. And then the idea of like, oh, if something is meant to be, it's meant to be. I'm not gonna uh force it in a way that doesn't feel good. And similar to what we talked about before, where like the reason was saying like, oh, follow the scientific path, but my heart was into the creative path, like the arts and all that. Is the same thing as try to listen to my heart more and connect within myself, and sit and meditate, and that unlocked also a whole new creative flow for me. Um, so yeah, so that's how I kind of started to see that when I'm painting or when I'm writing or when I'm playing music, all of a sudden it's almost a spiritual practice, because I feel like it's very meditative. It's very fulfilling in a sense, like it's feeding my soul. And so yeah, it allowed less questioning, less doubts, and more like, okay, just try to shine through this and let it be. But I mean, it's a lifelong journey of, like it's not, I have to constantly remind myself these things, because it's easy to, we're all human beings, so it's like it's easy to go through life, and you get, like I was talking about the LA traffic, and then you get pissed off, you're in traffic and all this, and I'm like, okay, no, I'm gonna get back into myself and center and just be in the moment, and breathe.
And you do have a lot of those type of practices still. You still so like meditate, and you try to create space for yourself when you feel this.
Yeah, as much as I can. Like I was so good during COVID because we had nowhere to go. I was meditating every day, and then I was just create, create, create. And then things reopened, and I was like, oh, here's the crazy, race again. Like, let's go there, let's go this, we got to do this, this, this. And so now I'm mindful, even if I can't meditate, like sit in silence, I'll take a mini walk in nature, or I'll be very mindful when I paint. I'm just like letting myself be fully absorbed by what I'm doing. So these are my kind of meditations that I can fit in these spiritual practices.
It's actually fascinating thinking about you and thinking about your husband, who's, this. I don't know how much is he on the road, but just I
Yeah.
would imagine for this past, I don't know how many years. How many years have you guys been married?
We've been married 21 years.
21 years.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, so much time probably on the road. Like, I'm just curious, how did you get used to this lifestyle, and then also having in mind, he's on the road, but you have a lot on your plate. You're singing, you're creating, and then you are this very present to the moment, that person that needs creative space. How did you get used to this lifestyle?
Well, it's mostly, I think, the harder part was when the kids were little, and I had no time, hardly any time to myself, actually, because I was taking care of them, but I was happy to take care of them. It was a different. So when they would take naps, I would be creative, and then I take care of them. I traveled a lot on the road with them when they were little because I could see, instead of being frustrated at home, not being able to accomplish everything I wanted to do, I'd be like, okay, I'll just be on the road. But my kids, they grew up, and their baby, I'd be doing my singing and all this, so they grew up hearing me sing. Um, and if I had to be loud, I would put them in the opposite corner, like so that they don't. They grew up seeing me. I mean, that's why I think they're artists too. They grew up seeing us, me and Robert, just being creative at home or on the road. Um, I also, like when I mentioned when I was younger, my parents took me to a bunch of different countries, and I felt that, oh, maybe that's a gift I can give my kids. So I took them on the road, and um, we would be in Indonesia and China and South America, anywhere in Europe. Like I would just take them and show them around, and discover places with them, and kind of have that um exposure for them, like just like having them learn about different cultures. And when they were in school, sometimes I would make it work where okay, they're gonna miss a week of school here, but that let's document what they've seen. And so the teacher would be like, okay, yeah, document, take pictures. If they didn't know how to write yet, so just you write what they say, and then get a document, and they can come home, like come back to the classroom and show everything they're seeing to the other kids and what they learn. Like, for example, I was 1 week in Japan with them around Tokyo, and I had planned, and that was and then the last 3 days, Robert joined us, but it was before Robert was playing around Asia. I think he was in Korea or wherever he was, and then he joined us after. But when I was there with the kids only, I was like, okay, this morning we're gonna go to Shinto temple, and then we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna have lunch and have like some kind of Japanese meal, whether and then the afternoon we're gonna go to Sega World or whatever. And then every day we did something. We went to, like, I remember it was fun, like when outside of Tokyo, Kamakura, where it has a beach, and the kids were excited because there was like an American an American restaurant they could have a burger. They're like, oh yeah. But then we went to like this place that has like caves with statues inside, and so we would do something historic and something fun for them every day. We went to this, but they were I was taking pictures, and they were documenting in their head like everything that they've seen, and then they could tell the classmates. So it's to me was better than school because they learned something different. So it was um for me it was they I fit in my work too, and I got inspired too during all these travels, and even seeing places that I had seen before but through my kids' eyes is a whole different perspective. And so I think I got a lot of inspiration too. And then we would go home, I would take care of them, but I had like uh, um, new ideas and new energy to do this. So it's all about, I mean, it's challenging. Like for example, the first performance show I did when they were so little, and I was up at 6 a.m. dropping them to school. Then I would go to rehearsal, and then be back and for them. But then when the show started, I remember I would um like the shows would end like at midnight, and I would have to find somebody. It was so hard. I would call my friends, hey, do you know a nanny? Do you know somebody that could watch the kids while I'm doing the show? And I would go home at midnight. Well, not the show would end at midnight. By the time I drove home, I'd be like, or makeup, costume off, everything. I just remember being home like at 3 a.m. Okay, I would go to sleep, wake up at 6, take the kids to school, and start again. And these were challenging because not a lot of sleep. But it was very scary for me. How am I gonna do this? Who's gonna take care of my kid? Like I had never left my kids with somebody before. But it was like all people that were recommended by friends that had kids the same age. So it was like, okay, I can trust this person and all this, and it made it all work out. But um it felt like so important to me to do something for myself. And then from there, like, oh, a whole new world open with like, oh, now my kids. And then both my kids are musicians. My son went on tour at a very young age, performing and still finishing his schoolwork, whether he's on a tour bus or in a different country. Everybody from the band would be at the beach, and he's like, no, I'm in the hotel room finishing my schoolwork. He's like, yeah, they all have this
Wow.
discipline. Uh, uh, but I think it's just, uh, um, I felt like I needed to show them. And especially when I had my daughter, um, cause like it's known, like men work and have a career for themselves, and then maybe women just be at home, or there's that idea still. Actually my husband, even when I was pregnant with Ty, he's like, I could take care of you, and I'm like, no dude, I can't be just at home cleaning the house and cooking and all this. That's not me. I could do that too, but there's stuff I need to express. I need to continue being an artist. I need to, because you lose yourself a little bit when you become a mom, It's like, it's just this new role that you have. And that was like another moment of struggle for me. I was just like, okay, my husband's going away for like 2 months, and now I'm at home, and I feel like a machine because I don't sleep at night. I'm just feeding a baby, changing diapers, and all this. But who am I, now? Who am I? And I love being a mom, and I love taking care of my kids, and I love what they, you know, who they are now and what they grew up to be. And I've always loved being with them, and I would not change a thing. I just remember the questioning within me is like, at the first art show, like I think when Ty turned 1 years old, I did my first art show after for a year, because I was like with him, taking care of him, and I submitted my art to this gallery in Venice, California, and they accepted, and they did an art show for me, and I was so excited. I was like, okay, life start, like, I still can be an artist and a mom at the same time. Like, it's almost like I needed confirmation. And I remember in my art opening, and all my friends call me, it's like, what time you gonna be there? And it felt like, oh, cool. Like, yeah. And I think probably most mothers can relate to like the doubt, like when you have a career and then all of a sudden, you become a mom. It's either you find somebody to watch your kids and continue on your career. Some people don't have like my mom didn't have a choice really. I had a nanny, I because she had long hours sometimes. Um, but um, but I think it's like you can never fully accomplish balance, but it's important to do something for yourself at the same time. Um, and then yes, and then there's moments where I'm like, it didn't change anything for Robert. Why do I have, I was like all these feelings, but then I'm like, no, it's all good. It's great. And it's it's you just do your best and whatever, and that's when also spirituality came in. It's like, okay, I'm just taking time, and it's there was a lot of questioning, I want to say, but yeah, and then when we were able to go on the road with Robert, it was amazing, and it still is. Like sometimes I will join him um uh on certain dates. I was just in Nashville, they play Nashville, and then my son plays in Suicidal, and he opens for Metallica. So it's great. So I was able to see my son play, my husband play, and spend some times with them in Nashville, and it's amazing. But when they were kids, and we would be in all these countries, looking at sites, getting inspired, going to museums, learning about the history of the different countries or cities we were visiting, was really fulfilling. And when I start traveling, you forget. Like I never felt jet lag because I was so tired. The kids as babies, they wake up through the night anyway, so it's like, let's do it. It's okay. And just and actually have fun with it. Try to have the most of it, do things for them and for me as a family. And I think that's yeah, being like a unit. Like it was good to be all together as a family when we could like do all these travels together.
I've heard a rumor, but it's really a rumor that Metallica might be coming back to Bulgaria at some point.
Uh-huh.
Um, and if they do, promise me that you will travel with them. Promise me
Yeah.
here, live on the podcast.
Well, we'll have to
We need to
look
have it
at the
here.
date.
We
This,
need to have
yeah,
it
I
here.
would, I would love to come. I would love to come. And actually, Nelly was like, "Hey, maybe you could do an art show over there and
Shout
all
out to
this."
Nelly. Shout out to Nelly
Shout out to
Radeva.
Nelly to
Nelly Radeva. Let me see
eh,
what's the name of her brand.
naturel with love,
You can say it in French.
naturel with love.
Naturel
Well,
with love.
yeah, yes,
Everybody, Nelly Radeva is the person who connected us. Lovely lady. She has a great cosmetics brand for ladies primarily, but also for guys. So go check her out, Nelly Radeva. Shout out.
yes. Shout
Um,
out to her, and then I think she's gonna make me come to Bulgaria actually, for
yes, please.
art and all this. So I'll
Oh,
I'll
but
try to
we'll set
plan
you
it.
up. We'll set you up. We'll set up some performances, maybe gallery. Like,
That is
so. I
awesome.
mean, just decide.
Probably, yeah, next year I would love to. See, Bulgaria is not, I have not been. I've been even
What a
like
shame. What a
Romania. I've
shame.
not been like everything that's around. Yeah, I know. There's so many countries to visit, like so many places. I just, yeah, I can't wait to do
So
it.
now the kids are traveling on their own, so you have a little bit more space and less excuses for you.
I
So
don't have excuses. It's just yeah, it's just the work. If we do like,
no, the schedule. I know your schedule is crazy.
yeah.
But let me ask you this. Let me ask you this because, as you know, I'm a professional speaker. I'm a performer on stage, but in a different kind of industry in a way. Um, and 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 I know you travel a lot and you have to perform sometimes. And we all know that there's jet lags, there's time zones. Sometimes you have a lot of deadlines. You're recording, then the next day you just literally
Oh
get
yeah.
your freaking
Please, I
clothes.
know about
Hopefully,
that so much.
but
Yeah.
I want you to talk a little bit about that because I think sometimes people buy their tickets and they expect you to perform. They don't know the backstory, right?
Yeah, like
But
no
I
sleep
want you
and
to
yeah.
talk to me about that, and I want you to tell me your best hacks or tips. What do you
Yeah.
do when you are physically, mentally, emotionally drained, but you have to perform?
Yeah, that's a good question because I've been there so many times where right off the plane, 11-hour flight, you have TV show, you have like rehearsal, you have this. Like I've been there so many times. And I learned not to freak out if I can't sleep on the plane because I try as much as possible to get as much sleep when I can. Like for example, if it's a long flight, um, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just try to not do anything on any screens, like whether it's like watching a movie or being on the phone or whatever, not you can't be on the phone on flights. It's sometimes they have Wi-Fi, but just doing other stuff. I try to relax as much as I can. Because I've been there where I try to force myself to sleep. Okay, I gotta sleep, and that doesn't work. But at least if I close my eyes and try to just, and sometimes I put headphones with like a meditative music. The most that I do is, before I have a performance or TV or something going on, when if it's still daylight, I try to be outside for 5 minutes and get like as much daylight through my eyes as possible and then I'll do stretching for sure. I always do like some yoga moves, like I try to stretch my body, because it feels like it gets the blood flowing and it gets the blood flowing in my brain too. Last time I had to encounter this, I was flying LA to Paris, and then I had the TV appearance right off the plane. And of course the traffic from my friend picked me up at the airport, and then from the airport to his place to drop my luggage off, the traffic was so horrible that I didn't have time to rest. I took a quick shower at his place and did some stretching, and I had to go to the TV thing. And so what I did is yeah, just shower, stretch, and I made myself some tea just to soothe the throat, especially when you're performing, like, as a speaker, but also I had to sing later that night, so no sleep for 2 days. And so I was taking it easy, did vocal warm up, believe it or not, just to kind of have my voice placed in a safe, not trying to push or force anything, and breathe. I did a lot of like breathing, let's just to calm my nervous system down, and to kind of try to be centered as much as possible. But I think the stretching, the seeing the daylight, breathing is like that's my go-to. Um and yeah, tea, um just it's really, it's hard sometimes. It's really hard, but you have to do it, and then try not to think about what you just went through, like no sleep and all this. It's almost like peel off that layer that's like just telling you like we are tired and all this. Try to forget about it and be like, somebody told me, um, uh, I remember, like imagine you have no sleep, you're super tired, you're stressed, and then somebody all of a sudden tells you, well, you won like $1 million, and all of a sudden like your energy is back, like you forget that you're stressed, and you're like, what, 1 million, like it's but and then think of the same thing, and somebody tells you like, oh, you lost this and that, or and then you get even more. So it's all a mindset. It's putting your mindset into like something positive, like I'm doing this, I love to do this, you don't have to convince yourself, you know, you love to do this, but you just forget about, like, just feel energized. Like, I don't know, I have these little tricks to trick my mind into, like, okay, yeah, let's do this. Like, you know,
I love
sometimes
that you're
it's just
sharing. I love that you're sharing all that because I feel like we humans have this kind of a perception that there are some certain people that are just, they just have it figured out, and they just, you have this long period of rest, and then you show up perfectly prepared on the stage. But the life is not like that. Often it's just like you underslept. You slept 3 hours. You have a show. Your voice, your throat is not okay, but you just have to show up, and it's like those kind of a understanding, that awareness. I'm not going to be perfect, but it's not about me. For me, the
exactly.
biggest game changer for me being on stage was, I was so nervous and anxious initially when I started being a speaker. Right now, there's zero nervousness, and the reason is I understood it's not about me. I'm there to serve. I'm a vehicle. I'm there to serve. As a singer, you're there to serve,
Yeah.
to entertain, to lift people up, to make them feel a certain way, and that's what I do before. Like, let's say I slept 2 hours, and I have some issues with my throat because I've been on the road for a few weeks, and it's like, okay, so I have a little. I'm getting some candy bar usually. That's my.
Yeah.
I get a candy bar like 10 minutes before going on stage. I get an espresso shot 15, 20 minutes before going on stage
And
because
you're
it
like,
hits me
yeah.
exactly when I get there. And then what I usually do is I sit down in the backstage and I close my eyes, and I'm just connecting with myself and with my higher purpose, and I'm thinking of the difference I make to these people that came to see me. I'm just focusing on transmitting
Exactly.
this energy, and I just feel it for 10 minutes, and then I do a little bit of a, put myself up a little bit physically, and I'm like, all right, let's go, buddy. Let's go, buddy. You gotta give them some love, man. You gotta give them some love, and then it's.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
No, absolutely. And the way I really discovered that, and also what you just said about, like, connecting, and it's all about giving to the others, like, just, I remember when I was just sharing with you the craziness of my first performance, when the two kids were littles and I had to run and run and run. And I remember I was doing it for a few days. This was after rehearsal. The show had started, so it's like 3 hours of sleep for me. And the third day, my back went out. I woke up, I couldn't even stand up. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do it? And I'm trying to find an osteopath or acupuncture or somebody to help me. And nobody, of course, because it's last minute. So the magic happened when I went in the theater, and instead of chit-chatting with everybody, getting your makeup done and all this for the show, I went in the corner and I did deep breathing through my lower back because it was so painful. And I was like, I have to do this show. No, there's nobody that can replace. We didn't have any understudies as people replacing. So I'm like, I'm there, I'm breathing deep. And then I get my makeup done and put my costume, and the show starts. And this magical thing happened where I felt oneness. Like, I felt everybody's emotions, feelings. I felt like I was the floor of the theater. I felt like I was the walls of the theater. And I don't know what the hell I was doing, but we had rehearsed the show. I had played the show, so I did everything probably without thinking, but I had this amazing feeling that I was part of everything. And I did the performance, and it was such a joyful experience because I felt like I was giving it all. Um, I didn't feel my back hurting, nothing. And then I remember it was before phones had the return camera, like where you can take a selfie. So I remember after the show going in the car, and it's, 1 in the morning, I'm going to drive home to my kids. And I took my phone. The phone had a camera, but it was not just the front lens didn't exist. And I took a selfie, like I took a picture of myself because I wanted to remember that moment. I wanted to remember, and I felt like this is the mission. This is why I'm doing this, is to give it all to others and not worry about me. Just I'm like you said, like you're the vessel. I'm the vessel. And I almost lost control because I don't know what I was doing, but I had rehearsed it enough times that my body was automatically doing the movement and the singing that I needed to do. But I was not consumed by self-doubt or by fear or by pain, like my back. Oh, what if I do this dance now? My back's gonna, nothing. And I felt everybody, and we were all one. We were all this one thing. Like it was a true magical moment for me. And that made me realize, like, yes, that's the point of this, is to give to others. So it's very similar to what you say, like when you have to reconnect and like I said, again, we're all human. So sometimes it goes away and then you have to just remind yourself, like, this is the mission. This is,
Do you feel like your artwork is better when you focus on giving?
yeah, I don't focus. Yes. And this is most of the time, that's what I'm doing when I do art is, it's all about, well, first of all these also energy healing modalities that I studied. I always infuse my artwork, whether you believe in this or not, but I always infuse my artwork with this intention of like healing, inspiring others, and expressing something that will touch people. So this is my intention behind every art piece I do. And some people connect with it, some people don't. That's fine because everybody's different. Uh, but yes, that's the reason why I do art, is to give, to just give that inspiration. If somebody has a art piece of mine in their space, I'm hoping that it illuminates their space. I'm hoping that inspires them. That's the goal.
Chloe, I don't want this podcast episode to finish. I mean, honestly, I'm getting goosebumps, and I think this is at the heart of everything when it comes to expressing yourself, being creative. Is this kind of what you're just describing? Is like it's just
Yeah.
about giving and inspiring and making somebody life or environment better.
Yeah.
Because then you don't have any of course you don't have creative blocks, because it's not about you. You have a creative block when you get perfectionistic and you're like, "Ooh, it's not good enough. What would people think about me?
Yeah.
How would I look?" Like the moment that you focus on the person you're
Others.
serving, it's gone,
Yeah.
because you give all your heart. Um,
Totally.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Chloe, I think it's a great way to finish on a high.
Yes.
We need to have you back. First of all, Chloe, we need to have you back on the podcast because there's
Invite
so
me.
many.
Yeah, invite me to Bulgaria. I'll be back in person.
Yes, we invite you. Yeah, we'll do the podcast in Bulgaria in person. That's a
There
commitment.
you go.
We'll show you around.
We want
Beautiful
Nelly.
nature.
Nelly is gonna be there too.
Nelly's gonna be there too. We'll set up a performance,
Yeah.
artworks. So let's set the intention and speak it
Yeah.
into existence, right? That's what they say. Chloe,
Absolutely.
final question. I want you to just, you're doing so many great things. Just tell us a little bit about that. Where could people find your artworks? Where could people find more about your music? Like, tell us where
Yeah.
can we find
So,
your.
of course, I have a website that's 𝐻loeTrujillo.com. That's my name that you could see. But we talked about it a little before. Like I'm not super good at always updating my website. Where I'm really good at updating news is my Instagram account. So it's also Chloe Trujillo, my handle. You can yeah, you can get most of the information on all artworks, art shows, music shows, new designs, my new collection, everything. I'm really good at posting on Instagram. And yeah,
So
there
it's
is
by the
there
way,
it
it's
is.
it's. I mean, it's a little bit blurry because of the camera, but it's. I mean, guys, this is my daily inspiration. I just open her page and it's just like seeing her,
Thank
you
you.
know, singing or painting or I mean, it's just like it's just follow Chloe, guys.
Yes, follow me. Thank you.
I love it. Chloe, thank you so much for being with us. Thanks
Thank
everybody
you.
for making it to the end of the episode. Make sure to subscribe to Productivity Mastery. Make sure to follow Chloe. And we'll see you once again next week for another great episode of the Productivity Mastery podcast. Be cool. And thank you so much, Chloe, for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.